I've been studying this model lately called the spiral dynamics model. I know some of you guys are aware of it because I had questions about it, just some interest, like, asking me if I know about it or if I've studied it. I've came across it a couple of years ago or whenever actualize.org started posting on it, Leo. I don't know if it was 2 years ago or a year ago, but I've been aware of it, and lately I've just kind of been digging a little bit deeper into it. Not too deep, but a little bit deeper. Very, very interesting stuff, quite accurate, scarily accurate, and is similar to, it's actually like basically the chakra system, just explained from a different way. If you actually studied, I've studied the chakra system pretty deeply, and then it's like pretty much the same as spiral dynamics, okay? Just discussed from different perspectives. Spiral dynamics focuses more on the society, the societal evolution, whereas the chakra system focuses more on the individual. Actually, they're both almost identical, and both of them are also almost identical to the seven density system described in the book The Law of One, which is basically, it can also be called the raw material, which is a genius book also. So, it's nice to see different people independently coming up with these different systems that are basically identical, although you can tell they're not trying to be identical. You can tell they're describing things from their own perspective, and yet they're all essentially talking about the same thing. Okay, it's kind of similar if you study like Hinduism, and then if you study Buddhism is an offshoot of Hinduism, and then you study Taoism. Taoism was an independent philosophy, independent of Hinduism, independent of Sanatana Dharma. Okay, and then if you study like some of these, ancient, ancient traditions and ancient philosophies, if you study some of Socrates' line of thought, if you study some of Plato's work, right? If you study like independent systems of thinking and perceiving the world, and you see all these similarities, you realize that what is happening is you tap on a certain radio station and you're listening to the same music. That's all it is. It's not a rip-off. It's not, some of these systems, they didn't have any contact with each other, and yet you read the different writings and they're like very, very similar. All right? So, basically, to give you like the meat and the butter of this, consciousness is one, everything is one, and consciousness is going through this illusion of separation. It's separated itself. It's like having a dream right now, that it's like I'm having a dream that I am Saeed, and I'm having a dream that the tree is the tree and the bird is the bird, and it's all different from me, and we're all individual, and that's just the illusion. Same as the mirage. The mirage is not water, but it appears to be water. And in the process, which takes it's all happening within the time-space illusion. It takes like billions of years for that consciousness to reunite with itself and realize and come out of the dream state into wholeness, into oneness, which is the journey back to source. Again, Plato called it the journey, the ascension's journey of the soul. All right? He didn't have any contact with the Hindus, right? Yet the Hindus are talking about the same thing in Sanatana Dharma literature. And you see this everywhere. There's a journey. The soul's on a journey, right? It's on in a dream. It's on a journey back to its source. Okay? So, the truth of the matter is, we're all evolving as individual souls. Individual soul is an illusion, but it appears to be real, and we treat it as such. Each soul is on this journey back to wholeness, oneness, unity. And so therefore, each soul is in a particular part of the journey, okay? Like, if you pick up a game and you play it, and you played the game for 5 years, and then your brother picks it up, and you play against your brother, he's gonna whip your ass. He's been playing the game longer, right? You just a noob. This is your first day. Now, a year later, you might have a chance to beat your brother, right? You might have a chance. I mean, I used to play Call of Duty, and my brother played it for a few years, and I picked it up, and I would get my ass whooped. We'd go play online, but we wouldn't be against each other. It would be just, you play online, and he'd like end up number one in the map, and I'd end up like on the last place. I was just getting my ass whooped all the time. But I continued to play it, and my chances of being the number one on the map increased, and until eventually, I'd be able to be the top of the map, right? And we'd play, and we were at an almost, at some point after me playing the game for a lot, we were almost at an equal level. Okay, yeah, it's just, look, some souls are just more evolved because they have more XP points. Simple as that. Okay, now where the spiritual ego comes in, which is really what I want to talk about here, is when you feel superior to your fellow souls, which are just parts of you, because you're more evolved. It's one thing to deny that you're more evolved. That's just denialism. Yeah, like you have to recognize if you're acting with compassion and love in this world, and someone else is killing and pillaging and stealing from others, you have to recognize that, yes, your soul, you have more XP points. Simple. You're more evolved as a soul. Simple. You're more evolved. You can't deny that. But if you feel superior than that person stealing and killing, then you're committing a sin. A sin means you missed the mark. Because when I picked up Call of Duty and I started playing it, my brother helped me. He didn't feel he's better than me. He helped me, right? He helped me get better. He told me, watch out for the campers, use this class, put this on, do this, use this for this map. He walked me through. Now that's how an evolved soul would act in its highest potential. It would actually go on helping other souls if these other souls are asking for help. Not if they're not. If I didn't ask for my brother for help, I don't think some souls don't want to be helped. Okay, but what the evolved soul would do is it would help, and it wouldn't feel better than you. It would just be like, it would see it. It'd be like, okay, I just have more XP points than you. I'm gonna let you be. If you need help, if you're asking for help, or if there is a chance where I can be of service to you, I will do that. But you do it from a completely non-attached, a completely, you don't feel you're better than that other soul, just because you played the game longer, right? It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Right? It's like, imagine, Messi's playing with a bunch of kids, and he just like walking around with arrogance, and he's like, the kid makes a mistake, and Messi's like, how do you make the mistake? Like, come on, don't you know how to play football? Right? It's kind of ridiculous, right? As opposed to like just showing the other players how to take a free kick, or how to do this, or how to do that, and doing it from a humble place, because it's just like a realization, like, hey, I've been lucky enough that I am the player that I am today, and if I'm in a situation where I can help some other people to improve their game, I will do that. Right? You don't do it from a place of arrogance, you do it from a place of gratefulness. Gratitude is very powerful at humbling you. It's very powerful at putting things into perspective, and it's very powerful at making you not feel better than others, not superior to others, okay? The spiritual ego is that sense of entitlement, that sense of I'm more evolved than other souls, so therefore I deserve more, or therefore I am better. Right? It's common, when you go on a spiritual journey, like I go through this, everybody goes through this, okay? Everybody goes through this. I know more than this or that, and you start to compete, with others. Like, you start to compete with others, like, I know more than he does, or he's evolved, but he's not evolved enough. He's not like me. He doesn't know as much as me, right? He didn't do as many mushroom trips as me, so I know more than him. I know more about love, and I know more about compassion than he does, or she does, right? They've only done 2 mushroom trips. I've done 30 mushroom trips, right? I probably did over 30, and maybe like hundreds of LSD taps. I've taken hundreds of LSD taps in the course of my lifetime. But you understand what I'm saying? That's the kind of mindset I would find myself entertaining. All right? I'd find that entertaining. I'd find myself entertaining these kinds of thoughts. Okay? So don't feel so bad for falling into it. This human ego it's very tricky. it's got a very tricky, it's a trickster. It's got a tricky way of keeping you stuck in the cycle of comparing yourself to others and feeling superior or inferior. You will become more free, more liberated when you stop that cycle in every aspect of your life. I'm more beautiful than the other person. I make more money, right? I'm more successful. I know more. I've done more mushroom trips, so I know more. All that kind of stuff, right? All that kind of jazz. That's spiritual ego. Again, you don't want to be like a naive person and not recognize that, for instance, you have more XP points than someone that's killing, and you have more. I mean, you know, if you find yourself you have an easy time, for instance, forgiving others, and you come across a friend of yours, and you see and you talk to your friend and you understand, and your friend's having a difficult time forgiving somebody in their life, and you see, like, hey, I see, because you realize like, oh, I have an easy time forgiving others, but I see that my friend isn't. He's not forgiving others so easily. And you recognize in that moment, you recognize that, yes, it's like it's a moment of recognition, like, oh, I realize that. You realize your friend is not, has some evolution to go in order for your friend to master forgiveness. You realize that you've done a pretty good job at it, because you've spent some time forgiving others and etc. That's fine. The recognition is actually a sign of intelligence. It's a sign that you're grounded in your human experience. Like, you recognize in that particular aspect you are more evolved than your friend, right? But it's an innocent recognition from a place of groundedness in your human experience, intelligence. But don't take it any further than that. Don't feel superior to your friend. Don't be like, all right, so now I'm going to help you because I know a lot about forgiveness. So I'm going to sit here with a smug smirk on my face, and I'm going to help you learn how to be forgiving, right? Now you've taken it a little too far, all right? You've taken it a little too far. You feel you're trying to help your friend from a place of arrogance. The better way to help your friend, okay, the more evolved way to help your friend, the more enlightened way to help your friend is to just listen to your friend. Listen to him. Listen to what he has to say. Gently point out things like forgiveness. Share your experience. Tell him, for instance, oh yeah, I used to have a lot of difficulties forgiving, and I've really contemplated on it, and I meditated on it, and I had to work on it, and eventually I was able to forgive my dad, my mom, my da-da-da. And you know what, man, I really feel better now. Like, it feels really good. It feels really good. And just put it out there for your friend. Don't even tell your friend, like, hey, you should really try. I tried to do that once with a relative of mine, right? A relative of mine is still is having difficult times forgiving other relatives of mine, okay? And I've had that problem in the past, and I've actually had to work a lot on it to release and forgive. And I've tried to do that after I told my relative, hey, why don't you just forgive them? I said it so casually, like, come on, it's easy. And my relative freaked out at me. How can I forgive them? Don't you know what they've done to me? I made that mistake. All right, I made that mistake. So more like, put it very gently, put it out there. Don't, if even you put it out there from a place of arrogance, like, I'm better than you, vibes don't lie. The vibration is gonna be picked up. All right, just do it with compassion. Realize, like, listen to your, like, if I was to truly listen to my relative in that moment, instead of just saying it like casually, I would realize how difficult it is to forgive in their situation, because they've gone through a lot, and I wouldn't have put it out so casually and with a little bit of arrogance. I would have just planted the seed very gently, just planted the seed without, coming off as arrogant or not. My relative didn't feel hurt in the moment because I was just saying it so casually, like, come on, it's easy, come on, you should be able to forgive, it's easy, right? So yeah, in that moment, of course, you reckon, I would be blinding myself if I didn't realize that in that moment, that relative of mine, it really didn't evolve in that particular aspect, and that I was more evolved in that aspect because I went through more of experience. I got the XP points because I went through this. Compassionate thing to do would be to just listen to them, really understand them, and then just gently present them with some things, plant the seed there without. The important thing is that it's not coming from a place of I'm superior than you. The minute it's coming from that, sentiment, then it's not going to do anything, and in fact it's going to make things worse. Okay, that spiritual ego is like, I'm better than you. It's still being, it's actually no difference than two people competing for who's going to make more money, right? And like two rich, you see this in the rich world a lot, like billionaires are like keeping traps, like, oh my god, I used to be like, I had 5 more billions than him, but now he has 2 more billions than me. I gotta do something about it, right? You see this a lot, like in, it's no different. It's no different, okay? When you stop seeing the spiritual evolution as a game of comparison and just realize that it is what it is, and that every soul is on a very individual, unique path, and each soul gets there at its own time. Some souls started playing the game way earlier than others. Of course they're going to be more evolved. They're going to have more XP points. Of course. Does that mean you feel better than them? Or does that mean when the opportunity presents itself, you can plant certain seeds in them for them to evolve more? Okay? Yeah, alright. I just wanted to share this. I thank all our patrons. I thank all the generous, wonderful people for their donations through the PayPal, the one-time donations. I received some pretty generous donations on PayPal, right? That's why I put a minimum now of $1 million, right? There's a minimum generosity level here. No, I'm kidding, guys. Of course, you could donate whatever you want. We appreciate anything that comes from the kindness of your heart. I also do one-on-one consultations. If you're interested to book a call, everything is in the description. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.